Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Thanks for joining us in this edition of 360 Degrees. Today we shall be discussing waste management in our major cities of Douala and Yaoundé. Why the standing challenge that the streets are still littered with heaps of garbage piling up from one corner to another. Of course, we are looking at the standing challenges and what could be the solutions to this very phenomenon that is quite disturbing. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is 360 Degrees and we are beaming live from the nation's economic capital, Yaoundé. Let me go straight to welcome those who are already in the studio with me to discuss this very pertinent topic. Let me start from my right, from my left rather, where I have Mr. ETOUKE Victor NDANG. I hope I got the ETOUKE well. Yes, he is a jurist, and we are honored to have him here today discuss these very pertinent issues.
Thank you, Hyncenth. It's a pleasure getting me invited on this pertinent issue plaguing our nation, and wish to equally share my humble experience and my own idea with the entire nation on how to go away with this issue that is hampering our nation across the quarter, alongside everywhere.
Thank you so much. We shall be getting into the crux of the matters. Let's welcome our MICAH, who is already also here with us. Our is a journalist here in Douala. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Hyncenth. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be back in the studio this day again to talk on something very, very sensitive. I think when it comes to hygiene and sanitation, it concerns each and every one of us, and it becomes very sensitive because this is something that directly concerns your health, my health. So I think it's going to be an exciting moment to share my experience and what I think is the way forward when it comes to waste management, waste disposal, and also the mindset of the people. You know, we were dealing with a very complex situation that involves a couple of persons. You know, it's not just somebody who is causing this problem. It involves each and every one of us. So we look at it at the level of the community, not just some individual who has failed to manage waste management or to manage waste in Cameroon.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Before we dive into the discussions, I would like us to have a picture of Douala. What the situation is like in the nation's economic capital here in Douala.
Along the main streets of the city of Betua, heaps of household waste can be seen piled up along drainage gutters. This is particularly noticeable at the entrance of several travel agencies, where an open dump site emits foul odors and creates discomfort for local residents and passerby.
Il y a la maladie, il y a le paludisme, il y a le choléra. C'est pas beau à voir et puis ça nous met mal à l'aise.
In the neighborhoods, the situation is no better. Waste disposal points are overflowing, making it almost impossible to walk by without covering one's nose. To curb the growing problem, adequate and sustainable measures must be implemented.
Je peux juste conseiller à l'État de supprimer cette poubelle.
Despite the efforts made by the Betua City Council to collect household waste, rapid urban growth continues to pose major challenges. More effective strategies and increased resources are still needed to properly manage waste and improve sanitation across the city.
The city of Betua. Maybe we come back to Douala right now to see what exactly is the picture.
The growing garbage on the streets of cities across Cameroon remains an eyesore. This situation has forced the Minister of Territorial Administration to step in. As a strategy, he has shifted responsibility to senior divisional officers and divisional officers. However, questions remain as to whether these officials are truly up to task.
They can mobilize easily traditional rulers, quarter heads and community leaders to enforce, for example, the principle of no sorting, no collection principle. This is a principle that some councils have adopted already, but they can have difficulties in applying it if they are the ones implementing it. So this can be done by the SDOs who have the law, the forces of law and orders at their disposal, and bring in a participatory model which clearly identify as a condition for success.
According to the Divisional Delegates of Environment, SDOs and DOs could facilitate recycling initiatives and even push mayors to act swiftly in addressing the waste problem.
We know that if councils start sorting waste, they will need to get in contact with with recyclers and operationalized platforms and of sorted waste and composting. This can be handled and assisted by SDOs and DOs. So in a nutshell, senior divisional officers and DOs can fight urban waste.
If nothing is done to curb the growing garbage, there are fears that the environmental impacts and consequences could be devastating.
Health systems have become overburdened today, and while productivity has declined because of poor waste management in our cities. Another direct impact here is the environmental destruction and climate vulnerability. We are constantly seeing recurring floods, many floods. As soon as it rains, the rain doesn't need to be much, then we see flood. Uncontrolled dumping pollutes soils, rivers, mangroves, and methane that is being released from landfills is exacerbating the problem of climate change today.
Without urgent and coordinated action from administrative authorities and local councils, the garbage crisis may continue to worsen, posing serious threats to public health and environment.
Thanks so much, Morinji, for those two reports. Mr. Awa, before we shall get into the solutions like that paper is suggesting already, you live in Bonaberi.
Right.
Maybe let's just get a true picture of what obtains in that part of the city.
It's deplorable. It's deplorable. It's a very sad situation, and I think that, well, it's not particular to Bonaberi, because when you move around the city of Douala and elsewhere across the country, it's pitiable. It's quite a sad situation that we have the streets littered, and any place in the city can be turned into a dump site overnight, and the roads are currently being occupied by waste. And on a particular street you could find like 6 dump sites. And I'm asking myself, are these dump sites authorized, official? Are people asked to dump dirt here or not? So it makes the situation quite complex, because we are looking at a very sensitive situation. It has to do with hygiene, has to do with health. And so you begin to ask questions like, what is the state of the mind of the population? You know, when you suddenly have to transform your neighborhood, your street, into a dump site, into a trash bin, what is going on in your head? I mean, we're talking at the time, the rains are coming pretty soon. And we are wondering what becomes of us when these rains come. Should we now start preparing for a disaster response kind of situation where cholera shall be the talk of the day? Because I am scared with the level of waste disposal, dump on the streets. We are pretty much closer to a natural disaster, which can be health, it can be just anything. We talk about floods here. I mean, just anything can happen as a result of this poor waste management we are currently witnessing in our communities. So Bonaberi is not cut up. You see, it's just so unbearable. I mean, the streets are stinking, the streets are smelling, and you ask, where is the problem coming from, and How can we handle this? Maybe we'll look at the way forward when we come into that segment. So Bonaberi is not indifferent from the rest of the country. It's not different from Douala, the city of Douala. It's of course just the Douala 4 municipality, Douala 4 subdivision. It is not cut off. Bonaberi is reflecting what you see in other part of the city and maybe Cameroon in general.
I saw you smiling. Is it the same picture you have in your mind when it comes to this?
Actually, it's true. When you fly through the neighborhoods of Bonaberi, you get to ask yourself, is this the Cameroon? We say it is a continent that we call in French the continent. Because, as my brother Ella said, every almost 20 meters in Bonaberi, you get a dustbin, you get a trash can. And what baffles me is that vis-a-vis the states and the local community are not getting involved in remedying this situation. Because when you look at some of those trash cans, besides, you see our mothers there sitting and selling consumable items or products that we ourselves, the local man, we go there stinking, and to an extent we put on our face masks or nose masks in order to say or to
navigate in difficult
the media that we no headwise we are intoxicating ourselves. As such, it is a situation where both the community and the state, especially the local community and the state, had to put hands on deck to remedy the situation, because it is becoming gross and grossly rampant along our street in Cameroon. You look at Bonaberi, it's not alone, as my brother said, it is the replicate of our country nationwide. And when the same thing is happening in Yaoundé, Ibolowa and Betwa, you go to, I can say an exception that is a bit clean is Chang, that I have a good reference of the Menua division, what they have done to remedy this situation. Why can't it be inculcated across the national territory?
So, Ms. Awa, when you look at the phenomenon, you discover that it is rather on the rise. What accounts for such?
I think the government should declare a national emergency when it comes to waste management in Cameroon, so as to be able to give it the attention it deserves. What accounts for this is, first, poor waste management. Somebody is not taking responsibility somewhere, and this also includes the population, because managing waste in the way we think it should be done is a collective responsibility. So we are not coming here to point fingers at a particular person for not doing their job.
If we could point fingers for the person to do his or her job, then we have the right to.
Yes, I think that we've seen some steps taken already by the government, authorizing local authorities to step in and do something, but at the same time, that's good. What accounts for that has just been some level of lack of leadership in managing state affairs. I am wondering how on earth it is the Minister of Territorial Administration acting when we have the Minister of Health and Environment, who should be directly concerned with this. So if we're calling out someone for not doing their job, we're pulling to this table to answer questions the Minister of Public Health and the Minister of Environment. These are environmental factors affecting us. These are health
the Minister
risks.
of Housing and Urban Development.
Housing and urban development. So it's a collective kind of response that is needed to solve this problem. Somebody's not doing their job somewhere. Now, that is their job. The administration has failed to solve this problem, to even prevent it, because now the problem I have with leadership in Cameroon is the reactive nature of it, not proactive. We wait until disaster strikes before somebody comes out and begin to organize press conferences to blow grammar. We are getting to a point where that grammar is not solving problem. We don't need that grammar. We need action. So we're expecting the Ministry of Health to step into action, either by sensitizing the population on the risks of not managing their waste well and showing them how to go about that, because just directing people on how to go about the problem without putting in place mechanisms on how to solve that problem becomes a very big, it becomes confusing. So we are looking at a situation where the person in charge of housing and urban development has failed, the person in charge of health has failed, the person in charge of environment has failed, and we expect that they take responsibility and do what is right. On the other hand, we are thinking that the civil society needs to kick into to sensitize, mobilize the community when it comes to waste management and when it comes to some of these basic things that we neglect in terms of where to keep your waste. Now, you realize that even on these official dump sites, people, instead of putting their waste into the trash bin, dump it outside. And you ask yourself, what is going on? What is the mindset of the people? So we need education. On the other part, we need a civil society to kick in. In terms of management, maybe on the way forward, well, I think I'm talking about what accounts for all of this. Yeah. What accounts of this is some level of lack of leadership. We need leadership. We have people there, but they need to exercise their duties.
Yes, these stakeholders that he has been trying to enumerate here, looking at the local authorities, many have come out to say population growth is making things rather very difficult. Should those be things that take us by like a storm?
Hyncenth,
because when you look at the Douala of the 2000s, the Yaoundé of the 2000s, and then you want to bring it now to 2026, it is quite a different thing.
It reflects, it's like we are going backwards. As Ella said, the issue of, your question, the issue of waste management in Cameroon is two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Which absolutely means there is gross incivility on the part of the local man.
Absolutely.
And as well as there is gross leniency on the part of the government. That's as right. well. Now,
leniency or negligence?
Boom.
Negligence.
Negligence, as we can put it in the normal terms, negligence, and because the state have to like absolutely decentralize the issue of waste management in Cameroon.
Yeah.
It is still very, very tense. At one point, citizens are very skeptical of who does what and who is responsible for what.
Right.
Now, we point fingers on the city mayor, we point fingers on the administration. Today, they have included the administration, and I ask myself, would they have the ample human resource necessary to manage this issue? If yes or no, what is supposed to be done? Now, the citizens on their part, or the local community on their part, it's like we fold our arms and things that the state is supposed to do us everything. No, when you are unhealthy, it's not the state that suffers the pain as well. So we have to tell your neighbor that dumping dead here is not proper, and in return we are the one to suffer the consequence. When you look at our mother city sitting beside those disposed waste, they are suffering the consequence. So I'm on the fact that the both party, both the states and the civil society or the local man, should get involved in this issue. If the state provide ample human resources through decentralized structure, like the mayor, the city mayor, everywhere in Douala, like for example, trash can, the city mayor, everywhere the city mayor, I doubt if the local councils that are involved in these local issues are actually not doing their duty. Who is supposed to do what? Is it the responsibility of the city council or the responsibility of the local council?
The municipal council.
Or the municipal council. Yet these structures have enough budget to cater for these issues. Where are this budget going to? Is it because of, I have a impression in Cameroon that we practice 60% administration and 40% practice on ground, or theory, or on ground. That is why everything in Cameroon is just hung on paperwork and there is no practical work. The local man suffered. So my problem is that the government should absolutely, my brother talk of the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Territorial Administration. I myself, I'll add the Ministry of Mines and Industry, because if today Cameroonians should go to the extent of recycling some of this refuge by lobbying with companies, let's say in Europe and other countries, that will come in to look for ample measures, because we have all those human resources necessary or needed for this process. We will realize that those refuge will not no more become debts, they will become source of income, not to the local community as well as the government as well, and it will become an auto something that will create its own revenue to cater for its own self.
Okay, Mr. Awa, this issue of who should do what and where, when it comes to collecting taxes, the structures, they know where they have to collect taxes. Now, when it comes to maybe giving back to the population through cleaning the city, the problem of who is doing what comes in. Is that not some sort of hypocrisy?
It's not only hypocrisy, it's an attempt to misappropriate public funds. It's also an attempt to embezzle public funds. And someone needs to be stopped from doing that. How would you be so excited to collect money, but when it comes to doing the job that is needed, that money is needed for, and we start seeing fights here and there, administrative bottlenecks. Where are these administrative bottlenecks coming from? Who is behind all of this? Those people need to be investigated, and it also now tells us one thing: we should be mindful of the kind of people we vote into office. You know, people should be that of,
for those that are genuinely voted.
Absolutely, for those that are genuinely voted, but for those who maneuver and find their way into office through whatsoever means, that's their business. But Cameroonians expect you to deliver, because that office is not for you and your family. We are talking state affairs, state business here, and if you are in a public office, you are there to exactly what is expected of you. Your duties, you respond to the needs of the population, and then for the now, your family is important, but you are not there for your family. So for the moment, just chill and look at what is expected of you. Funds are collected, no job is done, nobody's holding anybody accountable, and then we only have to come here and cry and scream on media, and nothing is done. So it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in situations like this, which is what I call leadership lapses. You know, administration is kind of funny, and we hope that people can be more serious and sincere, like you said, when they get into these leadership positions.
Okay, let's go to Yaoundé now properly and see what the Minister of Territorial Administration is proposing, as well as the Minister of Housing and Urban Development. We shall come back to see if the measures can be efficient to change the situation. Keeping Yaoundé clean remains a major challenge as garbage heaps continue to pile up in major road axes of the capital city. As new solution, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is putting at the disposal of 2 councils out of 7, Yaoundé 1 and Yaoundé 5, 1 mechanical broom sweeper each to complement manual efforts.
Waste management is not a theater, it's a deep work, and is the engagement in which I've engaged myself for the vision of the head of state.
Receiving the sweeping machine this Monday, January 26, at the explanade of the Yaoundé City Council, the mayors expressed a sigh of relief, promising the population of clean environment in the days ahead.
There were groups of youth who were cleaning our city everywhere, in the mornings, in the evenings. So now that we have a mechanic sweeper, we think that those young people will be affected through other missions within the municipality, because this mechanic sweeper will clean all the streets every day, in evenings, in afternoons. And we think that is a very good thing for our municipality. We will reinforce our cleanliness, we will reinforce the fight against insalubrity, and Yaoundé 5 will be more clean in the days and weeks ahead.
This action comes barely 3 days after the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, distributed cleaning materials to all 7 councils of Mfunji to tidy up the capital city. Waste disposal in the nation's capital city, Yaoundé, remains a major challenge. Some streets in a very nasty state, with heaps of garbage increasing by the day. A picture the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, frowns at as disgraceful to the image of the country.
We cannot accept all the time seeing trash cans placed alongside the road. I just made an example of in a perimeter of 2 kilometers where we have registered more than 30 trash cans visible alongside the road.
Bringing together all administrative authorities of Fundi, the mayor, Hyncenth, and other stakeholders, Paul Atanganji urges them for more vigorous mechanisms.
We have asked the mayor of the city and all council staff and mayors to look for appropriate areas where the trash cans will be placed so that we can collect household waste between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning. I've instructed the governor, the prefect, and the DOs to go down at least each week and verify that the cities are clean and that we don't have trash cans again along the road.
And to boost the process, MINAD pledges material support to the 7 councils.
In less than 72 hours, the Minister of Territorial Administration will make his own small support to all the municipalities in Yaoundé with 700 wheelbarrows, 700 shovels, 700 brooms, and 700 rakes. So each council will have at least 100 wheelbarrows, 100 shovels, 100 brooms, and 100 rakes.
And in what he describes as collective efforts, Minister Paul Atanganji calls for a more responsible attitude from the population.
I think that if we are disciplined, we have to sensitize the population that they should learn to trek at least for 100, 200, or 700 meters to go and dump the trash, their waste, household waste, in the areas identified by the city mayor or by the local administrative authorities. It's important. So it's a collective challenge, and know that keeping Yaoundé clean, keeping Douala clean, keeping Bamenda clean, keeping Boya clean should be an individual responsibility as well as a collective responsibility.
He also tasked the local authorities to put up visible signposts on places where to throw or forbidden to throw dirt. You're welcome back. Promise made and then promise fulfilled. Barely 48 hours later, he actually distributed the cleaning materials to the 7 councils of Fundi in Yaoundé. I want us to look at, maybe before we go to Celestine Kecha-Kutes, has the situation become so deplorable that MINAD cannot fold his arms? Because when you look at the competencies, you see that he is the least person you expected maybe to come in with such a gesture.
That's right. I think that at this point, they should have declared a national emergency as a response to the situation. That tells you how critical and deplorable the situation is. So seeing the minister take such meaningful steps to resolving the problem also tells you how bad the situation has gotten. And serious problems need such drastic measures. And when I listen to the instructions passed down to local administrative authorities, it also tells of how desperate he is to fix the problem. Because truly, this problem has persisted for over some time. We've had people come out to talk about it, but no action has ever been taken as what we see the minister now doing to solve the problem. So it tells a lot about how bad the situation has been, and with the rains approaching, you just cannot tell what becomes of us if an outbreak of cholera happens and other diseases, because dumping waste at every little corner of the city also affects flooding. It can cause flooding in the city, and you know what that happens. Imagine that water sweeps all of that into your house. I mean, Douala being what it is, when it rains heavily, we find we have floods. We have houses that are flooded and all of that. Imagine all of this waste are swept into someone's house. Look at the health rates. So I think this is the appropriate measure that has been taken so far, and I hope that those who have been given these instructions and the tools make good use of them. I hear the minister saying that he has instructed the DOs to go down to the field every week. We wait to see that happen, and I also hope that these people who have been instructed to do this take this serious. They go down to the field to see that the work is being done, so that we should not get caught up in another situation, because this is pretty serious. This can become a very serious national crisis, you know, if not well taken with the same approach and energy that the minister is taking. So we want to commend first the Minister Tanganji for this very serious step that he has taken. To me, it's very powerful, and it exacts the same energy that is needed to respond to a situation, to me, which I think should have been declared a national emergency or a national crisis, to be able to coordinate all the living forces, the resources to respond to it.
Okay, Victor, your reaction on that gesture from the Minister of Territorial Administration, which he calls his own little contribution to the situation.
Well, basically the Minister of Territorial Administration, he is the chef d'etat, and of course he has his virtuous right to equally get involved in a situation like this, because and on the other hand, he has given an auto veto to his subordinates that they should see into a proper implementation. But now the problem is how far will the competent human resource available to do this? Because I don't believe that it is the DOs or the SDOs that will be doing this job. It is that the quarter responsible for this job have everything needed for them to carry out this job properly. That is what I believe that it is the problem hampering waste disposal in Cameroon. Because for some time we hear that the Exakam is on strike because of lack of payments. We are just looking lack of payments, but the material aspect of it, look at the material they are using, their trucks they are using, the outdated containers and trash cans they are using. At times you see some trash cans, they have already littered. They will come to a quarter like Granga that has a vast population. There's lack of feasibility study. Through the terrain, there's lack of feasibility study. There's a vast population. They carry a small trash can of 30 liters. They come and put there. Within 1 or 2 hours is full. Where do you expect that those who be coming, they take hours and the 4 hours to dispose their waste?
And the collection is terrible.
Yes.
If we can get trash can filled up in 2 hours, then we are also expecting those who are responsible for collection to pass by and collect the waste.
Yes.
And there is, when you listen to Minister Paul Atanganji, he insists on no trash cans along the road.
It's like it's a paradox.
That's it. Why?
It's a paradox, because it's like adding something and taking something, which is not supposed to be the case. Those trash can help a little child who is going to school to throw those little trash can, to throw his liters of biscuit, liters of bonbon, liters of this inside. Goes a long way to avoid littering the streets of a local man, because those vehicles you have produced there is just for little waste or dirt that can be transformed. Okay, take for example, in a refuse container, there are organic and inorganic waste.
Right.
There are bottles. There are other heavy materials that need. If some of those things can be fragmented, that this trash can is made for organic waste, this other one is made for inorganic waste. I mean, it will go a long way to equally sensitize the local man.
Right.
It will go a long way to equally make the local man understand that this particular things, if this trash can is full, I should reserve it until it comes.
Right.
You see, that is the situation.
He insists that people must learn to move for meters.
I agree.
Maybe 400 meters to go and through that.
agree.
No trash cans along the road.
I agree.
What is the alternative? If we are not putting beside the road, where should we be?
Yeah, I think in what the minister said, he said he has instructed those in charge to be able to make official dump sites known to the population. So if I know that I have to walk 400 meters to dump my waste, then I should be able to do that. There's no excuse for not doing that. And then saying I wouldn't walk 400 meters to dump my waste, it tells already who the problem is. The problem is no longer the government not helping to collect the waste or not helping to manage the situation, but me not respecting and not being hygienic enough. Because first, it's about me, it's about my health. Let's look at it both ways. It's about my health. You will not find the government coming to help you when you are hospitalized, when the bills are on you, when the mosquitoes bite you and you're down with health, and when cholera breaks out. People will die, not the government. So it's about my responsibility as an individual, first, that I keep waste away from my home. And if I'm told you walk 400 meters to dispose your waste, I should be grateful that at least I have got a place to dispose of my waste. Complaining that the distance is long tells already who the problem is. And that is one of the things that we have to look at. We need to be responsible. I think my brother on the other side talked about civility. I think we need people, another stakeholder, to come in to actually educate the population that when you are properly disposing of your waste, you are not doing the government a favor. You are not doing someone a favor. You are taking care of your own mess. That could cause you another problem, serious health problem. So I think that littering, I mean, every meter you walk on the street, if you have trash can, that's another form of littering the street. So you imagine you walk on the street and it's lined up with trash cans. What's that? It doesn't look healthy. It doesn't look presentable.
Especially for the image of the country. That's his major concern.
Yes, absolutely. I think that what he's saying is very correct. Unless you stand from where he is standing to say these things, you always want to contradict him or think that he's not saying the right thing. You know, he's also he's somebody who is very vocal too and has a way of saying those things. So, but he is perfectly correct. Imagine on the streets of Bonanjo, every 30 meter you have a trash can. What kind of a city is that? So official dump sites, like the minister said, should be designated and the population rightfully communicated using local media. Should use the TV house, should come to Canal, should go to local radio stations and talk about it. We have trash cans in these positions. You walk 100 meters. Are people walking 500 meters? Let them know they have to walk 500 meters. If they're walking 1,000 meters, let them do that. And I think that walking should not be a problem because it's also an aspect of exercise. Exercising your muscles. Cameroonians should step up because this fight is collective, like the minister said. If we leave it and think that somebody has to come from somewhere and do it for us, well, the government is doing that already. So let's take the responsibility. At least let's be appreciative and then try to respect what the measures say.
Yeah, just 2 days after the Minister of Housing and Urban Development came up with her own I don't know whether to call it donation of 2 mechanical sweepers, one to the Council of Yaoundé 1 and another to the Council of Yaoundé 5, as a way of like telling them to tidy up the city. It is true during the ceremony, the minister said the action from Minad was kind of complimentary, and ministries are supposed to be complimentary in nature. So is that some sort of a response? Or
I ask myself, why the panic?
Right.
Why the sudden panic? It means something is at the corner. With the Cameroon, it's not today that we have been working with refuge in the street. At times, Cameroonians even eat with refuge with them, alongside them. Now, why in the sudden days we hear government ministers come out, but I equally see that there is a centralized administrative mechanism that the government is still ignorant. Even I don't know if they are ignorant, but they know very well, but they don't want to decentralize issue. One here, I think particularly, if Minister Paul Atanganji should call the mayor of Bunaberi, that is Douala Katriem, that Mr. Mayor, what is happening with subdivision in regards to refuse disposal, Mr. Mayor will have something to tell him. But now, if he has to call the due, that is administration. It is making the administration so tense and a monohybrid decentralized system, which we today, Cameroonians today, are fighting or are appealing to the government to grossly decentralize functions. That will go a very long way to help the situation. We can cry foul very well. We can as well as speak grammars on media and so on, but the action wise is not the case. Minister Madame Kecha Cortez, as you earlier said, responded to the ministers of the federal administration by giving his own share. But now, what is the quarter to implement this issue? Which quarter is to implement these resources? Does it go to the competence of the Minister of Decentralization through the city mayors, through the local mayors, or through what? How? I don't understand, because in the mechanism, I did not see the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, for which he has at least 70% role to play on this issue of waste disposal in Cameroon. He was not involved. For which I equally believe that the city mayor of Douala and so on is responsible to the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development for onward transmission to other high quarters. If that is how administrative mechanism is supposed to go. But now, if the territorial administration and Madame Kecha Cortez are giving a veto response and so on and so forth, I doubt if actually those measures will actually go a long way to remedy the situation.
When you look at it, 2 vehicles, 2 machines, city of Yaoundé?
No, that's nothing.
Is that not a kind of camouflage to solving the problem?
It is looking at the problem at hand, the severity of the situation. Two cars, that's nothing. But let's begin by appreciating the effort. But that's a whole ministry with a budget head. Should we even have to cry out this loud before such 2 vehicles, insufficient material are supplied? Now, let's say we are being fair. Thank you, Minister. Though you're doing your job, but at least we say thank you for doing that. Now, the problem is we're going to come back to this same studio 1 year after to ask how far.
Yeah.
What about the maintenance? When it gets broken, do they abandon it? Those operating it, will they have their salaries on time? Will they have to go on strike to get paid so that they can continue to clean the streets in Cameroon? These measures are amazing, but the human resource aspect of it is frightening, because the responsibility of leadership towards, paying these people, compensating the human resource for keeping the street clean, we are scared that at the end of the day, we might come here with another report. These people are on strike. They have refused to collect waste. We've seen that with Hyncenth, which is one of the reasons. Because why are we even here? Why is Hyncenth unable to keep Cameroon clean? Why are we here? What went wrong with Hyncenth? Why did we have to have the Minister of Territorial Administration step in? Now we see the Minister of Urban Development and Housing coming in. So what happened? Can they explain to Cameroonians what has become the fate of Hyncenth? If Hyncenth is out of the equation, there should be communication so that Cameroonians should know that, look, at this point, if you're producing your waste, you better be careful, because there's nobody to collect it for you. So that you take this predisposition. You go maybe to ancient ways of managing waste, right? In my house, I use gas from the waste I produce.
Okay.
This is a local technology that can be taught to people. I was taught by that thanks to the Israel embassy in Cameroon. They had a project some time ago, and we taught on all of that. And you produce the waste in your house, the biodegradable waste, and then you just transform that into gas, and you're able, it's been long, you buy gas. And that is helpful. So why can't we, if it gets to that point, let's even, if our ministers or our leaders convince us that they are unable to take care of certain things, can we just go back to learning how to manage these problems on our own way? I mean, but I think that it should not get to that point, because there's money for all of these things. So why are people not doing it? So we're expecting to see some results. The donations have been made. The Minister of Territorial Administration, we applaud him for that. Minister of Urban Development and Housing, we said thank you for the 2 vehicles for Yaoundé. What about Douala?
Yaoundé 1 and Yaoundé 5 to be precise.
What about Douala? What about Bamenda? What about Buya? What about Beto? What about Gariwa? Are these not part of Cameroon? Do we not have issues of waste management in these places too? So, like my colleague was saying, it's time. Most of these functions are decentralized, so much so that power is given to the community to be able to manage some of these problems. Government can come in to subvent, can come in with that support, leadership, resources, training, and let the community take charge of that. You can train community management when it comes to waste, and they'll be able to do that. Just give them. Because my fear is you channel this through the so-called government functions, they will embed, they keep these things in their families, and you will end up not seeing any of these tools on the street doing the job.
Yeah, we have places in Cameroon that are quite serving like a reference to like clean cities, maybe Limbe. Is it so hard for some the local authorities of some cities to copy? Or is it bad? Is it a weakness to copy?
Hyncenth is not a weakness.
Is it some kind of bad faith?
I'll call it is administrative bad faith.
Okay.
Yes, gross administrative bad faith. Because, like my brother earlier said, when you are elected through the narrow way to get into power, you don't work for the people. Because if the mayor of Limbe, like the mayor of Limbe, he knows that if he's there, it's because the local man is there.
Yeah.
And it's because the local man have lobby, have fight for him to be there. Now, he has as a duty to make the local man satisfied of his services, because he's responsible or is responding to the local man and not to the hierarchy. Right. That is what we call some of administration in Cameroon, and to an extent they don't know what to do and who to render service to. Now, I think, for example, there was one former mayor in Chang, the Mr. Sonkem Etienne, who, as a mayor of Chang, if you look at Chang today, Chang is a town to be.
Okay.
But the population density and the topographic nature of Chang is not like other cities, other towns. But right. This man has created a company that recycles waste product. Now, waste in Chang is like this. In our quarter today, you cannot see iron, you cannot see plastics things, because those guys usually pass and say, how do they call it?
Those guys have pick up condemned issues.
Yeah, when they come, people get their things and buy it, because those things are recycled for other homework, auto, finance, project, and so on. That is what the city mayor, the mayor of one-time mayor of Chang, equally did. And this company today is responsible. You go to Chang today, you scarcely find trash can full on the street, you scarcely find flies on the street. No, because he knows that virtuously he is there to satisfy his local population. But if a mayor knows that it is a central committee in Yaoundé that have lobbied, that have fight for him to be city mayor today, he's always responsible to the central committee. So whatsoever the local man is crying for, there is personal non grata. That is the problem in Cameroon. So we should go for position with our whole heart, knowing that we are going there to save the local man and to remedy the problem of the local man, and not to save our hierarchy as well. Yes, we are supposed to be answerable to them, but we are not saving them.
Okay. Awa, do you think that we need a new waste management policy, like government policy of waste management? Because the current seems not to be yielding any fruit.
Yes, I think we need more than a policy. We need maybe another ministry.
Again, people are crying that ministries should be reduced, and then you want another ministry
to replace. We can cut down some of these ministries. we have expected them to deliver and they've failed should be cancelled. And we create ministries that are functional, that respond directly to the needs of the people.
To the issues.
Because if we are talking at a time when there is a minister directly in charge of waste management and recycling or something, we'll be holding somebody in the neck to say, look, you're failing, and we'll be able to call you by your name. But now we have about 4 ministries that are directly connected to that.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day,
but nobody is taking
responsibility. So who are you holding responsible? It becomes a difficult question. And I think that is exactly what has prompted the Minister of Territorial Administration to step in. Because A is waiting for B, B is waiting for A, C is waiting for D, and nothing is done. So it becomes a very tight situation. And then you have Minister Tanganji now step in to say, hey, look, this is what has to be done. So these ministries we've mentioned, maybe there is no need for all of them. They are not doing your job. You should go home. And then maybe the government, not just necessarily creating another ministry in charge of waste management and recycling and all of that, should designate that authority, that power to the local councils. So that if Douala 4, which is Bunaberi, get messed up, we know that Mr. Mayor has failed. And we're holding you by your throat to say that, Mr. Mayor, we can no longer live in this place because you have failed to collect and manage to waste here. And then it also gives the mayor the latitude to be able to leverage on business opportunities that are available when it comes to waste management. He can bring in investors in that area to say, okay, look, we're looking for investors to invest in Bunaberi and waste management. And then it opens all of that. It brings investment into Bunaberi, and then the problem of waste is automatically taken care of. So while saying another ministry should be created might have been an exaggeration, I think the right thing to do is to designate, give these powers for waste management to the local councils. Forget about the DOs. They already have their own headache, managing the people and all of that.
Yeah.
Give it to the mayor.
And they are not experts in
they are not experts in all of that.
Yeah.
The mayor is the leader in that community and should be able to come up with appropriate measures when it comes to managing waste. Give it to the mayors. Let the mayors be directly in charge of waste management. Growing up in those days, I think that it was more serious than what we have today. Okay. Someone would talk about population growth. And when you talk about that, I see failure on the part of government. Your population is growing, you should be taking steps. Look at China. Do we have these problems in China? China is big. We have a lot of people in China. We don't have this because they know that their population is growing and they are taking everyday measures to make sure that someday they don't get into crisis.
To match up.
Absolutely. So it's the same thing. The problem we have in Cameroon is this. We have a government or leadership that sleeps a lot and waits for problems before they start acting. That proactive aspect of leadership is very much required. And in this case, we're suggesting that it's imperative that we designate this to the mayors. It's proactive as well, so that we already know mayors are the ones who are directly connected. How long does it even take a minister to walk on the street of Douala?
It's difficult.
It's difficult. But the mayor is there on a daily basis. He sees that. Even if he does not see, he has people who live in that community who are directly connected to him on a daily basis. They can give him an appraisal of the situation. Putting minister directly in charge of this, I'm looking at it like, Minister Tanganji, it's amazing what you're doing. But sir, I think that maybe you can just let go the DOs, the SDOs, and work directly with the mayors. What I'm talking about, municipal mayors and not city mayors, because I don't see the difference between the DOs and the city mayors. Work directly with these elected officials who knows that their job is on the line if they don't perform. By virtue of this, they understand that they need to deliver. If you don't deliver, let the population know that this mayor, waste management, hygiene and sanitation is directly taken care of by the mayor. So if the mayor is failing on that aspect, it is the population, the community that ticks him, and we're waiting for him for the next election. But in this case, it's difficult to hold anybody accountable, unfortunately.
Okay, talking about, we are looking at the solutions now. What should be the role of community leaders? He's trying to mention the population, but then each population has a community leader. Pidgin, what we call the quarter head. We have them in almost every neighborhood in Douala and Yaoundé. What should be their role in all this?
They equally have a rule, but it's like you give goat rope. Those guys have the willingness to do their will, but their hands are tied. Because to an extent, the competent does not rely on them. They will tell you as a chief, go and handle your chief issue in your palace.
I have my palace issues.
I remember in the days when we were growing, we have these sanitary services that usually goes around in the villages, inspect pit toilets, and if your toilet was that much, does not meet the level in which they want to give you a fine of 50,000 francs, 25,000 francs, you go and pay. And you see that our parents back there were really engaged to make sure that their pit toilet live to a standard, because this sanitary will come around and will give you ample information on how to keep your toilet clean, and for which in return you are the beneficiary. Now today those sanitary services are absent. Getting the chief, the quarter head involved is like getting the divisional office involved in this issue. It's frightening. Now in return, the local man should not equally wait until he sees an administrative officer in front of him for him to know that what I'm doing this harbors the nation, harbors the community, and equally affect me as an individual in particular. Those are some of the issues that consciously, because I believe here our civic responsibility is not to go to school and learn the three colors of the flags and equally learn so many. No, it's part of our civic responsibility. Keep your environment clean. Now, if you keep your environment clean, you keep the community clean, you keep the town as well clean. Concurrently, it will go right up to that level. But if there is gross negligence around the place, everybody is skeptical. At times you see it's the work of the government, it's the work of the local population, it's the work of the mayor, it's the work of this, it's the work of, we are all in a dilemma, who does what and who does not do what. That is the situation. So me, I'm for the fact that everybody should get involved. The local man as well, because he's the real person involved in this issue, should grossly knows that this issue concerns me first before the mayor. Because we are pointing fingers on the mayor. Those guys don't live in a quarter. They live in a comfortable zone. They live in a well-protected area.
Residential
comfortable.
area.
You and I who live in a calabot, that we know that at one point in time will be harbored by rats, be harbored by mosquitoes, be harbored by cockroaches, and so on and so forth. What becomes of you if you are harboring a waste disposal 10 meters from your house? Can't you tell that person who is littering that dead that don't do it there, and write to the government that these things is hampering my health? The government will look, the mayor will look for solution to remedy that issue. But we sit gallantly, after all, c'est l'État, les maires, les secrétaires Douala, les parlants aussi, s'ils ne veulent pas s'engager, tant pis pour eux, mais c'est toi qui sauves. Ce n'est pas l'État. C'est tes enfants qui passent le temps. Aller à l'hôpital. So at the end of the day, the causes, both material, financial, and other causes incurred are grossly incurred by us. The government will put all sort of mechanism they can put. If we ourselves in return are not disciplined, it's wastage of resources. I mean, gross wastage of resources.
He's pointing out a very important element, the sanitary agent. They used to say you don't change what is working, but unfortunately that practice is of the past now. Is there a need to bring back such kind of police mechanisms, because it was more of they make you to live in a hygienic situation, whether you like it or not?
Sort of community policing when it comes to hygiene and sanitation. I think there is need for that, because people have become too relaxed. I don't know if I should say people have become too dirty, that they're no longer conscious that they need to manage the environment properly and dispose of waste. But it is concerning. Maybe that's exactly what it's needed to get this done and get community working again in terms of being clean, hygiene and sanitation. On Thursdays, most part of the city of Douala operates not fully, because from morning to about 11 o'clock, there is a total shutdown for cleanup campaign.
The shutdown is not because they want to clean them, they are afraid of administration.
Absolutely. Now, the shutdown is meant to be understood to be an exercise where you don't stay home idling. If you must stay home, you're cleaning your environment. Or you simply just step out your business site and keep it clean. But people have taken this to be a moment where they rest, they drink, they go for their Thursday Njangi, and do veteran, go play football and drink a lot of alcohol, and come sit in a very messed up environment, stinking environment. Look at where they operate their businesses. It's terrible. Grass is overgrown, it's littered, smelling. Nobody, look at the gutters, just where they have their businesses. Nobody cares if we say, okay, fine, we're about 15 of us here. On Thursday, it is clean up. So we're coming out to clean, to remove all the waste in this gutter and keep it where whoever collects, come get it. You don't see that happening. So there is a problem of mindset. We need to be educated, and we need to understand that at a certain age as an adult, hygiene and sanitation should no longer be a problem to you. I don't know if it is the way some of us are brought up, or we are just naturally negligent or influenced by some factors that I don't know. But your health comes first, and it starts with cleanliness. They say that cleanliness is next to godliness. How can you even call God's name when you can't clean your environment? When you can't respect the normal Thursday routine for cleanup to clean your environment where you stay, your business environment. You can't even organize yourself to do these things. And every day it is the government that is the problem. Sometimes the government is innocent. We need to take responsibility.
When you say the government is innocent,
sometimes the government is innocent. I mean, in this case,
the government is the driver.
The government is a driver, but the government doesn't come to your house to tell you, clean your backyard, clean your business place.
That's right.
If it gets to a point where the government has to come tell you this, then the government is not the problem. You are the problem. Your mindset is bad, and you need to change that. So I think we're getting to a point where we need to speak truth to ourselves. When you think the devil is always the enemy, Satan is always the one wanting you to die, you know, you become so ignorant and negligent to the point where you will take your hand and put in fire.
But can we say maybe the sensitization mechanisms are not efficient enough?
It's not even there. It's not there. I don't see anything like that yet. Because you don't just tell people on Thursdays you don't go out. It is for cleanup. And you don't tell them what to do. People need leadership, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
People need, and leadership simply means you tell people, do this, and this is how you do it. That's leadership. Because not everybody understands what you are talking about. When you tell them on Thursdays, we do cleanup.
Jeudi propre.
We need to, there has to be a mechanism. There has to be a mechanism. There has even to be a driving force. So I'm going back to your question. On Thursday, we expect to see people from the council, from the authorities, move to business places. You are locked, but the place is messed up. We seal it, and then invite you over to the office, and you pay a fine. We moved into compounds, homes. The place is messed up. Honestly speaking, you need to know where some people do business in town here. No toilets. Where they do their business is crazy. So we need that force.
Even those with drinking spots in
absolutely
some areas,
and drinking spots don't have that. At some point we saw that the government came up with some mobile toilet on the street, but they don't work. We don't understand why they don't work. But you move into homes, you discover that most of these homes don't have toilet. They do their business anywhere. This is the same thing we're talking about. So can we now have some strong fisted leadership that moves in to enforce this? It's going to be hard. People are going to cry, but that's exactly what it takes for development to happen. It's for their own good. So when you have people who have become so very comfortable with what is killing them, as a leader, as a father, you step in with a cane and let them do the right thing. And that's exactly what we're expecting. Thursdays are wasted days in Douala. Nothing is working. Because we cannot be crying of Douala being so littered, but we have one day in a week for cleanup. Something is not working. That's a problem. I don't even think it's small. Douala is a business town. 30 minutes for cleanup is enough.
If everybody's involved.
That's right. And we take it serious. 30 minutes is enough for us to get up in my house and say, hey, everybody in this house, we're cleaning the streets. The way leading to the house, we're cleaning. And this is what we dump this dirt. And after that, whoever collects, come collect. 30 minutes, we do that and we go out for our business. But what do? Veteran, they go drink and exercise their body and come home, sit in very dirty environment. Mosquito is going to bite them tomorrow and they fall ill. Typhoid is going to come tomorrow because they eat just whatever. And before you know it, they go to the streets where they dumps whatever. And then buy whatever and then eat and then they fall sick. So you're exercising every Thursday. Thursday was not meant for exercise. It was meant for sanitation and hygiene. For you to clean your environment. So I think that enforcement is needed.
Yeah, maybe we are at the level of solutions. Do we need to change the sensitization strategy?
Basically, we need to change the sensitization strategy, but it's still not enough. Of course, we can as well sensitize, and citizens will equally respond to the sensitization. Now, what is the end product of those waste? I believe in waste disposal. For my learned colleague oversighted, in the definition of waste disposal, there is a phrase of collect, treat, and dispose.
Yes.
Right. For that cycle to be completed, they should collect, treat, and dispose. Now, if one is lacking, there will always be problems.
Yeah.
That is why I'm getting involved that if the government should lobby via the decentralized mechanism on see into structures that will get involved in recycling this issue, so that organic waste and inorganic waste can be fragmented and recycled separately. Now it will come a long way to play an auto fundraising or finance. How do we put it? Tax. I don't know. Money.
Income generation.
Right. Thank you. Income generation to both the state, the local authority, and in return, the local man who equally knows that this thing is an income generating something.
Right.
And will go a long way to discipline as well as cutting a long way to doing.
People will be rather scrambling for waste.
So more people will be scrambling for waste. People will go and look for it because there is something behind it.
Right.
That is part of what is needed. Now, going on a megaphone sensitization, media sensitization, we are tired of it. Cameroonians are not interested again in it. How many Cameroonians sit in their homes and watch debates? And those debates that we have been watching in our houses, how do they?
If sensitization is not working, should repression take the center stage?
Well, I believe the local man is very responding to action. If you can hit hard, he will respond. But now it should not just because you have the hammer that every situation to you is a name.
Everything right.
Yeah, that you just need to hit. No, that is not an administration. There's an organized way of implementing administration and organizing the local man that he will respond without even you knowing. He will even be the one to sensitize you more because they live the reality on stage.
Right.
Practically.
Okay. Mr. Awa, when you look at the issue of waste, does it not fall into maybe the same envelope with the global picture of urban disorder? You are talking about change of mentality.
It is urban disorder, but it's a bit risky to want to join all of that together.
I'm looking at it at the angle of mentality and policy.
Policy is necessary, and change of mind also is required. So you have both play a part for the change that we're looking for here. We would expect that the government takes very stringent measures to see that waste is appropriately managed and properly disposed, that it doesn't pose any health risks. On the other hand, we also expect the population to respond positively to that. So when we think that it is urban disorder, it would mean that the blame is falling on government. But it's collective. Government takes decisions. Like, we're looking at what the government is doing right now to solve the problem. So that's what the government has done. So we're waiting to see how the population responds to that. That is where the key thing is. How we perceive this action by government and cooperate with it solves the problem. My learned colleague talked about sensitization, and people are getting tired of so much talk and nothing is done. But I think that talk is still part of the process of change. For change to happen, there are three things you need to do. You need to identify a problem. You need to talk about this problem. And the last thing you do is take action to resolving this problem. And I think we've been talking. And I think government is acting because we've been talking. And we want to see. The ball now is in the court of the population. Do you dispose of your waste properly where you have to? If that is done, then the problem is solved. But if that
when you say the ball is in the court of the population,
right?
You have places in Douala where you can move like maybe kilometers without seeing these small trash cans.
No, I think that was before. We are speaking from the minister. No, we're speaking from the minister's speech.
Okay.
He said that.
Hoping,
right? No, I believe he's going to do that.
Okay.
He talks and do. He talks and does, right? Okay. So we hope that he's going to do that. Okay. So I believe that he takes action, and I think that he's going to do that. So he said that we're looking at a situation where you walk 400 meters and find a trash can. So if that's the case, we think that the problem is going to be solved. Otherwise, more sensitization needs to be done. Even at that, even when this is done, you don't expect the population to automatically know all of this. They have to use the media. Using the media simply means that there have to be special slots that are created on media, maybe on Canal, 2 minutes, talking about waste management and where to find any of this. I hope they have a media plan for this. Otherwise, they should come to Canal and talk with management on how to produce media projects for that. Or contact me, I can help. Right. So one of the things you can do is create slots on local media, on radio stations, on TV, 2 minutes micro program that talks about where disposals are made, are done, and engage the population through this. Now, whoever doesn't respect all of this, there would be sanctions. Sanction as a community, sanction as an individual. With these, people will be compelled to follow this information on media because they fear the sanction. If you don't listen to the radio at 9 p.m. to hear information on waste management where you have to dump that, and then you dump it anyhow, you are going down for that. And the sanctions will be severe, so that everybody is bound now to follow information on media to know where to dump, to dispose their waste.
Okay.
I think with this approach, it's going to make some sense.
Okay, the consequences will not live without dwelling on the consequences, so that the policymakers and the population should know what awaits us if we continue to neglect the issue of proper management of waste. Maybe I start with you?
You're right.
Yes.
The consequences. The consequences are enormous. It's very obvious that we're going to fall sick. It's in an economy that is already struggling. It means people will die because you will not have money to be treated. Yeah. You will die. So we're talking about death, which is the end result of us not taking the situation serious. People will fall sick, and cholera kills you within a very short period of time, which is the greatest fear we have. The consequences will be that people will fall sick and some will die because they don't have money to take care of themselves, to treat themselves in those emergency cases. Another thing is that it gives a very bad image of our country. I have a friend coming in from the United States in a month's time, right? And I'm hoping that she's never been here before. And I'm hoping that before she comes, they would have done some work on the street, right? Otherwise, how am I going to look at her in the face and say,
you have a lot of questions to answer.
Voici le continent, right? Voici le continent. How am I going to say that when we have waste littered all over the street? If I had what it takes, I would have gone out on the street myself and grabbed all of these and disposed them off, but I don't have what it takes. So we're hoping that some work is done. So there is that image problem. You don't want people to see Cameroon, the almighty Cameroon, as a dumping site, as people who cannot manage their waste. So there's the health factor, there is the image reputation factor, and then what have you? The economic impact is heavy on us. Look at the infrastructures, look at the roads. Some of these wastes are done on the tar, and trust me, it damages the tar. So look at the impact, it's heavy on us. So the economic aspect of it, people no longer have way to sell the buy and sellers no longer have way to sell their food because everywhere is occupied by waste. So how do they feed their families?
Some manage to place their bags on the waste and then sit and sell and eat right there.
It's unfortunate. So these are some of the consequences that can befall us if that is not already happening, but maybe not at a larger scale. So I think that these are some of the things that need to...
Victor, are we losing a lot as a country because we cannot properly make use of our waste?
Yeah, we are grossly losing because we have all the natural resources available that we think other countries may have some, but we are blessed with all. Because nothing is a waste in our country, but it's just because of administrative bottlenecks and negligence it has made us to understand that those wastes are equally waste. They are not waste. They are not waste. We talk of if they can be recycled or regeneration of income, but yet besides there is what we call hygiene and sanitation tax imposed on local citizens. Now, in return, what does that tax produce in return? How can it be advantage to the local man who is paying a tax for hygiene and sanitation, but is not benefiting from that hygiene and
from
sanitation,
from the services
of what is paying tax? I mean, it becomes something which is like a paradox, two-sided vis-a-vis. Somebody like osmosis, somebody the stronger solution pull the weaker solution, and the weaker one is there suffering from us, and so on and so forth. There is a lot of what we are losing. As my brother earlier said, a healthy environment is a healthy community and a finance booming community.
Right.
When you are unhealthy, you are economically unproductive to the community, and once you are unproductive to the community, it leads to the fall in the economy of that country as well. You go around our hospitals today, there's typhoid everywhere. 80% of Cameroonians, pure citizens in Douala, typhoid malaria. You go investigation, people say, hey, it's the water they are drinking, it's the diesel. No. You buy food from a mother who is selling beside 5 meters from a refuge disposal trash can. There are flies, there are rats, there are everything that you buy and go and eat without even looking at the hygienic condition, on how you can wash, on how you can treat, on how you on all those type of things. The equally goes a long way to reduce the economic and financial affair of the country, because money would have been used for other investment. You use it for your health wise. Money you must have used for other articles that will create money, that will boom the economy. You instead use it for which is not a guarantee. Which is not a guarantee that you live or you will not live, and so on and so forth. So please, my humble proposal is that we should take our waste disposal very, very seriously. We are losing economically, financially, infrastructurally, and before the international community, we are projecting a bad image. For example, I had a friend of my colleague that I said who came in this December, and we had to go somewhere at Machete Rider, getting inside Ngwele. That wrong ride, man, that man, he almost collapsed because of toxic, pungent smell he inhaled on that area. I only realized him sneezing. I asked him, why are you sneezing? He said, no.
You were already used to it.
So you realize that when that type of person comes back next time and I tell him that let's go around that area, first you ask me, that what I saw there.
Is it still there?
It's very certain that they are all Cameroonians, we live from there, but in 21st century, we should not be talking about things like that in the heart of the quarter.
While we are almost moving out, but then we will not fail to send a strong message to the ministerial departments concerned. What should be the immediate action at this point in time, beyond giving out to sweeping machines, beyond donating wheelbarrows, brooms, and all that? What should be the key actions now? Because the situation is getting out of hand.
I don't know whichever means they are going to use. Get the waste out of the street. Get the waste out of the street. I don't know, it's by witchcraft or some magic you're going to do, or some. Get this waste away, and then make it easy for people to dispose, and let collection be effective. Otherwise, I still would want to call on whoever the power that be, give this power to the local mayors. Give these powers to the municipal mayors to manage and recycle waste in the community. And with that, I think we will not be here next year to talk about waste management crisis in Cameroon. Thank you.
Why the mayors are waiting for power?
Right.
Is it not time for them to take personal initiatives, like you were citing Chang, for example?
I think that points to another thing. I've always said that the problem in this country is leadership. From up to down, from top to bottom. It's leadership. We think that the council also has a budget for hygiene and sanitation.
Of course.
What are they doing with that budget? So if the minister, why should we even have to wait for a ministerial decision to manage waste when we are talking about community problems? It falls on the mayor directly.
Yeah.
The mayor does not need a presidential decree to say, okay, you manage waste, hygiene and sanitation situation in your community. You do that by presidential decree. No. By the power that you have as a local mayor, you have the responsibility. Your budget head has hygiene and sanitation. What are you doing with that money? So why should we have to wait for Minister Atanganji to take action? And then we have other ministers coming to say, okay, I'm supporting Minister Atanganji with this. That is ridiculous. It is unfortunate. So can we now begin to have local mayors go down into the field and do the job? There should be some subventions. Government now can give in some money to support their initiative, while they have their own budget hit for hygiene and sanitation, which is the money they collect from us. Unfortunately, my brother, we pay a lot of taxes for things we don't get in this country, and that is so very painful. It's so painful, and I think that at this point, local mayors should be in charge of hygiene and sanitation, and this includes waste management, collection, treatment, and whatsoever.
Local mayors, should they revisit their logbooks?
Yeah. They have as a duty to revisit their logbooks, but now their hands are tied. Their hands are tied. I am looking at the administrative aspect of it, because we all know how the mechanism of administration it goes.
Right.
Because I've seen a situation where a mayor wants to do his job properly, but he will receive a call from a GO, an administrator, telling him that.
Are you saying that there is any administrator who will not be happy to see a municipality clean?
There are administrative conflicts among them, and at one time some of those mayors are discouraged in even doing some of their responsibility, because the central government will come and jump into it. If I'm the one to do this, I'm the one to do it. At the end of the day, the basic necessary resources come back to the competence of the local mayor. Come back to the competence of the local mayor. No matter how instruction the DO will give, the DO will not go into his annual budget and remove money for the running of this project. No, it is the local mayor.
Yes, because
budget.
The population does not expect anything like hygiene and sanitation from the.
They should revisit their logbook and revisit equally their conscience, because they have a conscience that they are not working for the people.
Right.
They are working for an individual.
Yes. Right.
Because if they know that they are working for the people, a mayor cannot pass with his vehicle and with a town major. Most of them, when they are passing, they pass with escort, van. But along the side, along the road, they see some of this issue. When you go back to your office as a conscious mayor, when you pass and you see a mother putting on a face mask,
what does that say to you?
What does that tell you? What does that ring into your memory? And then in return, do you ask yourself that consciously, was I voted by this local population? And you have as a duty to respond to this. That is the mechanism of administration and decentralizing administration down to the local population, because the government as well can equally give them that competence. But some of them still have the German and archaic method of reflection. They will equally see things that is not my responsibility. Okay. Or maybe the budget voted, or and so on. It goes a very vast way to hamper the situation.
And maybe some of the jobless youths in the municipality can be recruited to work in this domain.
These are opportunities for youth employment. And sometimes when you look at this and you analyze, you ask yourself, who actually means well for the youth of this country? When opportunities for employment like this slip away and nobody is bothered about it, why not employ these young people to clean up the community? And you pay them.
Yeah.
There is money. My brother, this country has money.
Okay, Mr. Awa, it was a nice time discussing this very pertinent issue with you.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to always have you when you are available.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
and we hope that the West are taking up the streets and that the population responds to the measures taken by the government to address the situation.
Mr. Victor, thanks for coming and thanks for your inputs.
The pleasure was mine. We really look forward to joining our hands together and helping the quarter that be to fight against this situation that is actually plaguing and hampering our local community everywhere in the nation.
Right. Thank you so much, and thank you so very much for watching. It is here we are drawing the curtains of the program. Looking forward to be with you next Saturday, of course, God willing. But till then, stay blessed.
Au Cameroun, chaque match est un moment. Avec Bet Central, parier est simple, excitant et à portée de main. Grand championnat, grand match, paiement fiable. De ton téléphone directement sur ton Momo. Parce que quand le jeu nous fait vibrer, on vibre avec lui. Rejoins l'action dès aujourd'hui. Visite Bet Central, pense M. Bet Central, gagnez plus.